Not every man who shows up stays, but when he's truly interested, there are signs you'll never forget. I'm Naira Elowin, and today you might finally understand what real presence feels like, without empty promises or disappearances disguised as confusion. Today, you'll understand how genuine interest reveals itself through the subtlest gestures, and you'll learn to recognize behaviors that don't lie, even when words fail. He doesn't just show up, he regulates the space. When the interest is real, a man doesn't invade. He tunes in. Presence isn't about message frequency or intensity of words. It's about emotional rhythm. A man who's fully there doesn't rush your pace. He respects the pause, observes your tempo, and adjusts his step. Even in your silence, he remains available. Not to intrude on it, but to be an extension of your peace. Have you ever met someone who only knew how to respond, but never knew how to feel? Because the opposite of a present man isn't an absent one, it's a reactive one. The man who disappears and comes back, who tests you, who waits for you to make the first move, he's not trying to build anything. He's just echoing his own instability. But the one who feels with presence hears even what you haven't said. He learns your language before demanding any translation. You may have lived this before, an interest that seemed real, but only existed when you initiated. You were the one texting, "Good morning," asking if he was okay, making space, and still felt alone. You thought you needed to explain yourself better, but in truth, he just didn't want to understand. Because the one who wants to be there studies. The one who wants to stay aligns. It's not about intensity, it's about intention and active listening. The kind that decodes your silences is the greatest proof he's not just replying, he's connecting. Stop measuring interest by digital presence and start noticing if he knows the right time to speak and the right time to simply stay. He doesn't invade. He offers space. He doesn't push. He sinks. Want to know if he's truly interested? See if he knows how to be quiet without vanishing. He doesn't wait for you to ask. He takes initiative. Genuine interest shows action. It builds silently, without show. The man who's truly invested doesn't just react to what you say. He anticipates, he thinks, he plans. Because he's not trying to impress, he's trying to stay. Most emotionally unavailable men operate in reactive mode. They only do something after they realize they're losing you. They make grand gestures after pulling away. They send an I miss you, only after you start going silent. But that's not affection. That's fear of losing control. Reactive interest doesn't want to care for you. It just wants to avoid its own emptiness. But the man who builds acts before you feel the lack. He shows up even on neutral days. He doesn't need a crisis to show his value. Have you lived this pattern? Always being the one who thinks, proposes, tries to balance two worlds? Planning dates, starting conversations, saving awkward silences. You weren't asking for too much. You were just trying to hold up a two-sided bridge by yourself. But do you know what happens when the other side is genuine? He starts laying the bricks, even in silence. He understands that a relationship isn't improvised, it's built. Someone who sees a home in you doesn't wait for you to beg for presence. He starts showing up with consistency. He pays attention, even when you're not asking. Stop confusing effort from neediness with effort from value. Neediness acts from fear. Value acts from intention. He's not testing you. He's including you. He's not reacting. He's recognizing you. Do you feel like you have to ask for everything? Or has he already understood that connection is built, not begged for? Invisible trigger. He notices what moves you and what silences you. He picks up on what touched you and remembers. He notices what shut you down and respects it. A truly interested man has a radar that goes beyond words. It's not about making surprises or saying what you want to hear. It's about paying attention, about turning small details into a compass. He notices when your voice shifts, when your eyes light up or dim. He catches the movie that made you cry, the song that froze you, the date that left you quiet. Because when there's real connection, care isn't performative, it's intuitive. Have you ever been with someone who seemed attentive but only heard what interested him? Who made big public gestures but ignored your quiet personal requests? Who complimented your photos but missed the tear you held back in person? You weren't too sensitive. You were just dealing with someone emotionally short-sighted. Because genuine interest sees the invisible. It cares for what doesn't shine. It remembers what moves you. And above all, it respects what hurts you, even when you don't say it. This kind of man doesn't demand explanations when he senses your distance. He understands. He shows up with presence and quiet empathy. Active observation is the skill of someone who wants to build. He catches the signals, not to control you, but to embrace you. He knows your essence shows in the little things, and he learns to read you between the lines. Stop accepting selective attention as if it were real affection. Those who truly feel, notice. Those who want to stay, show interest. Those who respect, hear even what you haven't said. He doesn't collect words. He holds on to gestures. He reveals himself in layers, not to impress, but to be understood. He doesn't show it all at once. He opens up little by little, not to make an impact, but to create intimacy. Emotionally available men don't build mystery. They build connection. They're not afraid to be seen from the inside, because true interest doesn't hide behind charm. It shows up with honesty. This kind of man shares parts of life that many hide. The failure that scarred him. The fear that still haunts him. The dream that feels far away, but he's not letting go. It's not about spilling everything dramatically. It's about making room to be understood. You might be used to men who only show what suits them, who display success but hide their vulnerability, who express desire but withhold intention, who open up physically but shut down emotionally. And you, out of empathy, tried to fill in the blanks, tried to guess, interpret, justify, as if your sensitivity could uncover a truth he never voiced. But the truth is, those who want to be understood reveal themselves. Those who want connection show what lies beyond control. Those who seek depth allow themselves to be seen, flaws and all, the courage to reveal what hurts, what failed, what's still in progress. That's the mark of mature interest. Brené Brown calls this vulnerability as connection. But here, in the real world of silent relationships, we call it surrender. He starts to use phrases with no ready-made effect. Things like, "I'm afraid I'm not enough." "I still carry wounds I've never told anyone about." "I think about a future, but sometimes I sabotage it." These are phrases you never ask for. But he says them because he wants to be seen for who he really is. Real presence builds trust, little by little. And each layer he peels back is a step toward the bond he hopes to create. It's not about revealing everything. It's about hiding nothing. It's not to impress you. It's to be truly seen. Does he talk about what he feels, or just about what he wants? Does he show who he is, or just who he pretends to be? Genuine. Interest regulates anxiety. It doesn't amplify your fears. When interest is real, you don't need to interpret signs. Because the body understands before the mind, you feel peace. And peace doesn't lie. The right man doesn't heighten your insecurities. He soothes your silent questions. He doesn't leave you waiting for messages with a racing heart. He doesn't play with time, absence, or doubt. You've lived the opposite of this. You know what it's like to feel confused, even while being loved, to smile on the outside while silently wondering if it'll all disappear the next day. Anxiety at the start of something new can be natural, but if it repeats, if it becomes a pattern, it's a sign, because love that's good for you doesn't trigger your trauma. It aligns, it regulates, it supports. Genuine interest doesn't require you to be less. It makes room for your intensity without dimming your light. It lets you breathe inside the relationship. You don't feel like you're walking on eggshells. You don't feel like you have to hold back your truth. You don't fear being forgotten after giving your all. You know why? Because he's whole. And someone who's whole brings calm. There's a neuro-emotional technique that may seem simple, but is powerful. Tune into your body, not your doubts. The body knows when something is off. Your throat tightens. You can't sleep. Your energy fades. And the opposite is also true. When there's truth, the body rests. You don't need daily proofs. You need stable emotional presence. Someone who doesn't create drama or disappear. He doesn't make you feel like he's almost there. He is there. The flower that blooms without hurry, knows the sun is here to stay. Someone who brings you peace doesn't need to justify their actions. He doesn't hide behind emojis. He doesn't maintain a connection at a distance just for convenience. A man who's truly present doesn't keep you in the background. He includes you in his day-to-day, in his plans, in his real life. The interest is real. Digital communication is just a channel, not a limit. Have you experienced a situationship? Daily messages, long night calls, but off-screen. You're invisible. He doesn't introduce you, doesn't invite you. He fits you into his leftover time, not his world. And that hurts more than silence, because it makes you believe something is real when you're only filling an emotional gap. A mature and emotionally present man doesn't leave room for social doubt. He shows you, not as a trophy, but as part of his journey. He connects you with friends, shares his routine, brings you into his present. He validates you through actions that need no caption. Because those who want to stay, expand. Those who see your value, introduce you. Those who are ready, include you. There's a study on the 4 levels of social affective validation, and the highest one is simple. He makes you exist beyond the screen. He turns "we'll talk later" into "let's go together." He doesn't wait for you to ask for space. He creates it, not as an exception, but as a habit, and more. He doesn't show you off only when things are light. He keeps you close even on difficult days, because you're not a distraction. You're part of the foundation. Someone who has space in his heart makes space in his world. Someone with nothing to hide doesn't hide you from anyone. You're not a pause for his loneliness. You're a presence for his growth. If he only validates you in private, maybe it's you who needs to step away. The real test of interest doesn't show up in light moments. It shows up when things get uncomfortable, when the conversation gets heavy, when you speak your truth without filters, when something bothers you. And still, he doesn't disappear. Real presence doesn't run from friction. It faces it. Not to argue, but to understand. Not to win, but to build. You've lived the opposite too. You said something that bothered you, and he vanished. You set a boundary, and he pulled away. You shared a fear, and he made a joke. Because for many, connection only exists when it's easy. They confuse interest with comfort. And if the tide shifts, they jump ship. But the man who's truly interested stays. Even without understanding everything, even without having all the answers, even without knowing what to do right away. He's not seeking perfection. He's seeking truth. And he knows real connection requires consistency, not performance. You don't need to measure interest through sweet messages alone. Measure it through consistency, through how he shows up after a hard moment, through the way he communicates. When you're not smiling, there's a simple but powerful technique you can apply: the emotional consistency test. Don't just watch what he does on good days. Watch what he keeps doing on the hard ones, because an emotionally committed man doesn't retreat from your depth. He faces it. He listens. he adjusts. Not with drama, with maturity, with the kind of steadiness you've always deserved. Someone with roots isn't scared of the wind. He grounds himself, and he grounds you. Does he disappear when you show your humanity? Or does he stay even when the romance becomes reality? If this message stirred something inside you, click subscribe so you don't miss the next truth that may not soothe but will set you free. And tell me in the comments, what was the smallest gesture that made you feel the greatest care? I read them all. And if you still feel like you don't have the strength to let go, watch the video now appearing on your screen. It continues this path back to yourself.